For this look, the first thing you're going to need is a red wig, but after that I'm going to be using a BB cream, and I'm just going to apply this on the cheeks, the nose, and then around the eyes, and then blend this out with my fingers. Once I've blended out around the eyes and then along the jawline, I'm going to be moving on to the eyelids, and today what I'm going to be using is a primer which has a bit of a metallic shimmer to it. I'm going to be applying this all over the lids, but then I'm also going to be using this as a highlighter along the cheekbones, and it gives the skin this really lovely glow to it that looks very natural. So I'm going to be applying that along the cheekbones on both sides of the face. And then afterwards what I'm going to be doing is applying this around the lips. I'm going to be applying it on the Cupid's bow and then also on the chin and blending it out. Once I've blended that all out, whatever's left on my finger, I'm going to go ahead and run that down the bridge of the nose and then a little bit at the very end of my nose. I'm also going to be using some concealer today, so first thing I'm going to do is figure out which shade is going to suit me the best. I'm going to use that to cover up any spots that I might have, but then I'm going to be using a lighter colour just underneath the corner of the eyes, and what this does is makes the face look very fresh and awake. And for me, I sometimes get some dark circles in the inner corner, so by using a lighter shade, it's going to make you look a lot more awake than you actually feel. I'm going to blend it out with my fingers. For changing the colour of the eyebrows, the first thing you want to use is a spoolie. Now to change the colour you can either use a foundation or a concealer. Because I have darker eyebrows, I need to use a concealer to cover it up properly, and I'm going to be using a shade which is a little bit lighter than my own skin tone to cover it, but if you've got paler eyebrows you could get away with using a foundation instead. Now to change the colour of the eyebrows you could use something like an eyeshadow, which you can use by dusting over the eyebrows, and then because you've already blanked them out, that colour will transfer nicely, or you could even use a lipstick or a face paint, whichever of the three you prefer. What I'm going to be using afterwards though is a mulberry lipstick, which is a little bit darker, just to try and give the eyebrows a little bit more of a gradient, because the eyebrows aren't completely flat all the way through, they are going to have a little bit of variation and areas which are darker. Down the centre of the lips I'm going to be using a wine coloured lip liner, and at first it's going to be messy and that's fine. You just want to get the colour there, and then over that what I'm going to be using is a red lip gloss stick, and this is going to go all over the lips, and then I'm going to use this to blend out the rest of the lips. You can either use a brush or your fingers to feather out the very edges of the lip liner just so that there isn't an obvious line. Once that's blended, I'm going to be using the same lip liner that I used previously for my eyebrows and running this down the centre of the lips and then blending that out again. With whatever's left on the brush, you want to run this just underneath the lower lip, and again make sure that there's no harsh edges on this, it does have to look like a subtle gradient. And then we're going to be moving on to the eyelashes. I'm going to be using two different mascaras here and layering them up. I'm going to start off with the lower lashes and try and get them to clump up a little bit so it looks like you've just come out of the water and they've started to clump together naturally, but they mustn't look like you've just dumped a whole load of petroleum jelly on them. So try and run through them, especially on the outer corner of the lashes, and the main thing to make sure is that there aren't any clumps. Now for the second mascara, I'm first going to take off any of the excess mascara on the wand with a tissue and then layer that. And what I'm going to do is keep repeating this until I've got the length that I want and then also the look that I want. They need to clump together a little bit but not look like spider legs. Finally, I'm going to use a bright red lip liner and I'm going to put this down the centre of the lips on the upper and the lower lip. Then I'm going to blend that out. And then once that's all done, well, you're done.